Phosphate, hero or villain? Give me a couple minutes and I'll show you what role it's playing in your reef tank. Hi, my name is Remy and welcome to another edition of the Brightwell Aquatics Tank Toolbox. Let's talk about one of the most commonly misunderstood nutrients in your reef tank. Phosphate, or PO4 as you'll commonly see it in the hobby. Too much and your tank will turn into a salad bar. Too little and your corals will starve. So at some point, somewhere along the way, phosphates were deemed as bad guys, as villains in the reef tank, when in reality, they're actually very useful and necessary. It's a key nutrient for coral tissue growth, for coloration, and that awesome symbiotic relationship that coral has with zooxanthellae. But like most things in life, too much and it can be catastrophic. Phosphate is a natural byproduct of food waste and organic decay. Corals and bacteria need it in trace amounts, but reef tanks are closed systems, which means things can build up fast. Personally, I like to keep my phosphates between 0.02 and 0.05 ppm. When they start to creep up to that 0.1 mark, that's when I start to mitigate. High phosphates can cause a stunting of coral growth, and obviously it can cause a lot of nuisances in your tank once they get to an elevated level. And yeah, coral can adapt to its environment, and some corals are better at it than others, so this can vary from tank to tank. So how do phosphates get out of control in a reef tank, and what can you do from a husbandry perspective first before you spend any money on any of the tools that Brightwell Aquatics offers? I hate to say it, but love can be lethal, by way of overfeeding, of course. We pile on the food to keep fish fat and happy, but what isn't eaten dissolves into phosphate and other nutrients that turbocharge nuisances in your tank. Also, not all fish food is created equal. Some low-quality frozen fish foods use starch-based binders and preservatives that cannot be digested and just end up in your tank and drip that phosphate back into the loop. So while you may not want to hear this solution, keep the love, lose the excess, portion smaller, target feed, and pick high protein pellets or well-rinsed frozen food to put into your reef tank. Another common problem in reef tanks are the detritus dead zones. Leftover food, fish waste, and dying organics settle into low flow pockets like sand beds, behind the rock, in the rock, under frag racks, where they'll quietly rot away and drip phosphate back into the water. Another solution you may not want to hear, and it's super easy, but manual removal is key here. During your weekly maintenance, blast those crevices in the rock so you get all that stuff blown out of all the little crevices. Siphon those dead spots in the sand where you know detritus settles, and rinse or replace the filter socks on a weekly basis or as needed. Another area that's often overlooked is the sump. It's typically a tight space, it's hard to get to, it's hard to see, it's hard to siphon, but it's often a common place for buildup. So if your tank looks pristine, I would check the sump. Another common problem is filtration. Now, we all think that our filtration is doing what it's supposed to do, but maybe it's not, or maybe it's undersized. Clogged socks, sleepy skimmers, choked up biomedia, old biomedia, that can all let organics rot in the tank, which you guessed it, leads to higher phosphates. One thing that changed the game for me was an automatic filter roller. So instead of cleaning socks on a regular basis, you're just replacing that filter roller when it's exhausted. Also, if you've got a skimmer, make sure that it's tuned properly and it's pulling out the proper amount of skimmate and not just sitting there bubbling aimlessly. When filtration actually exports nutrients instead of babysitting it, that's when phosphates never have a chance to bloom in the first place. A couple more tools for your husbandry belt, and you're probably already doing this one to some extent, and that would be water changes. It's still one of the best tools in the book. The key is just consistency. Make sure to do these on a regular basis. And one more thing before we get onto some tools is test regularly. Make sure you are testing your tank for phosphates and other nutrients and all the things, because phosphate spikes just don't happen out of nowhere. They gradually build up over time. And if you can catch it before it gets out of hand, it's a lot easier to manage. Now, if you're already in the red zone or you just want a little bit of balance, here's some tools that Brightwell Aquatics offers that can help you with your phosphates. First one, Phosphate E. This is the big dog. This will get results real fast. This is our answer to big time phosphate removal. But remember, with power comes responsibility. As it binds to phosphate, it creates a precipitate that needs to be physically removed from the water. So always dose it directly into a filter sock or roller or near your protein skimmer to catch the fallout. If you want, you can add a little bit of extra aeration, but never just haphazardly splash this into the display tank. And again, I will stress this, test daily as you are dosing this to make sure that you are not bottoming out your phosphates. The next 3 tools that we go to, we always recommend Microbacter 7, Microbacter Clean, and now the all new Microbacter Purple. These will make sure that all those organics are digested before they morph into phosphate. Bacteria play a huge role in nutrient processing. These are perfect for tanks with detritus pockets, dead zones, or lopsided bioloads. You treat the cause and not the spike. And remember, patience is required when you're using a product like Microbacter 7, Clean, or Purple. A good rule of thumb here is however long it took for the imbalance to occur in your tank is likely about how long it's going to take to reset it. But if you prefer the more natural approach, these Microbacter products are going to work perfectly in your tank. And what's nice about all of our bacterial products, and you'll hear me say this a lot, no refrigeration is required. We also offer some passive solutions as well, things that you can just put in a media bag and throw it in your sump and it will sponge away the phosphates in your tank. Export PO4 is one of them. We also have another one called Phosphate R. No dosing, no sudden swings. These are ideal once levels get to where you want them, where you want to maintain them. Just swap a portion of these during each water change and you'll be good to go. If you don't need a hammer to control your phosphates, these are a perfect way to maintain your phosphate levels in your reef tank. My goal with these videos is to condense everything that you might see if you go out to the internet, forums and social media, and put it into one digestible nugget so you can learn a little bit along the way. But let me reiterate that chasing zero phosphate is an outdated reefing philosophy. I know we're talking about getting rid of phosphates in this video for the most part, and it might be hard to stomach to add phosphates to your system, but if you're running at 0.00 ppm of phosphates, you might look into this tool. It's NeoPhos. You can actually dose phosphates into your aquarium to get you into that 0.02 to 0.05 ppm level. Before I let you go, let's go over 3 common mistakes that you shouldn't forget. Dose, test, repeat. Don't ever add any of these tools to your tank, especially Phosphate E, blindly. Number 2, try not to stack these products right off the bat, one remover at a time, whether that be Phosphate E or Microbacter 7 or one of our passive options like the Export PO4. Just do it one at a time, test, see what's working, and go from there. And watch the majors too. We're talking alkalinity, we're talking pH. Whenever you're adjusting nutrients in your tank, that can also mess with your alkalinity and your pH. So check those numbers every time you tweak the nutrients. Bottom line here is, and I think this should be like the motto of Brightwell Aquatics Tank Toolbox, consistency and stability is key. Be patient and always test. Make sure to have that data. Drop a comment below if you're dealing with a phosphate spike right now, or let us know your favorite way to keep nutrients balanced in your system. Also, we're growing the channel, so please subscribe below. And if you're not sure what your tank needs, just go to brightwellaquatics.com. We're always happy to help. And go clean your filter socks, because they're probably nasty. We'll see you in the next one.